Thank you for taking the time to join us today. So I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Barbara Radell. I'm a senior librarian at Ex Libris. I have been with Ex Libris for many years, but previous to my posting at Ex Libris, I was a system librarian at the Tel Aviv University. I studied librarianship, but I also say that I was actually born a librarian. So I identify with all the librarians on the session, and I hope that today I will be able to show you workflows and automation options that are going to make things much easier for you if you work with Alma. Thank you. So just a brief overview of today's agenda. I'm going to do a very short introduction with a few slides. Then we're going to go straight to online Alma, where I'm going to show you some workflows that I think can help staff users in their daily work. Then you'll see that slide with at the after the demo with the resources, the links where that you can access various information, pieces of information about Alma. And after that, looking at that slide, we will go to Q&A. So Alma works for all kinds of libraries and all types of libraries. We can see here as example, college libraries, special libraries, university libraries, state and national libraries. Alma works well for big libraries, for medium libraries, for small libraries. My very classic example of a small library is a customer that we have where there are 3 librarians. They have configured Alma to exactly suit their needs. They are working with Alma, enjoying the functionality that it offers, enjoying the automated workflows that it offers that allows them to just keep the small staff of 3 librarians. Next slide. So if we look at what happened, let's say before Alma. Before Alma, excuse me, before Alma's unified offering, there were lots of pieces and programs and elements that had to be managed by library staff, which was quite stressful and also required quite a large overhead of additional staff in order to manage all these different options. You can see here on the left-hand side, managing print. Maybe you had some kind of a link resolver tool. Maybe you were connecting to an external knowledge base. You were managing e-resource management with additional add-on because your traditional library system doesn't cope with e-resources. It wasn't developed to cope with e-resources. And then you might also have some kind of a program or some kind of a software where you're managing digital assets. You're trying to do some kind of a reporting and resource sharing in this conglomerate bundle that you see here before you. But with Alma, everything is together in one cloud. We have a unified resource management system with an inbuilt link resolver, with an inbuilt knowledge base, e-resource management, digital asset management. We have a fabulous analytics tool powered by Oracle Analytics. And of course, we also support a resource sharing. Next slide, Scott. So I'm not going to go into detail about this, but I think I just wanted to point out the really key elements that we see about Alma. Alma is unified. I mentioned this in the previous slide. It's open. We can easily connect to external systems via APIs, cloud apps. I will be showing you this throughout the demo. You don't have local hardware that you need to maintain and take care of. Everything is in the cloud. We take care of all this for you. You can get a lot of information about Alma from various sources. I'm going to show you this today. So one immediately thinks about the reporting aspect, analytics, but I will show you that Alma can also help you with other tools that we have built in. And we also say that take Alma, and this is your first step in growth, because it is the foundation on which you can move to the next level, teaching, learning, student success solutions. Now, if you're feeling a little nervous about the idea of migrating to Alma, I want to also stress that we have a success program. We have a first-year implementation program, training, professional services, online activities. Our professional services staff and success staff will go hand in hand with you throughout the first year, helping you adapt to Alma and learn how to make the most of it. And I think the next slide says demo, right, Scott? Okay. So I have logged in as a staff user. My name is Anna Allen, as you can see. You can see the recent pages that I have accessed. On the left-hand side, I can see the various areas of functionality in Alma that are available to me. I might not have access to all the functions within each sub-area. This is dependent on the roles and privileges that I have. Here on the right-hand side, we can see widgets that are coming from Alma Analytics. When I'm just going to move this down so it doesn't bother me. When I log into Alma in the morning, I'm interested in seeing things about patrons by user group. I'm an e-resource librarian, so I'm very interested in seeing the latest report information about e-resources by top 10 LC classification, and so on. We will be looking at statistics in more detail. Now, one of the very, very nice features that we have in Alma is this task list. So I want you to think about our traditional library systems where when we logged into our system in the morning, we had to basically go and find elements that needed to be taken care of, maybe orders that needed to be claimed, various subscriptions that needed to be renewed, and so on. What Alma does for us, it pushes this information through to us so that I can just come here and I can look, for example, at order lines, and I can see that there's certain order lines in review that have been assigned to me that I need to be taken care of. So let's just imagine a scenario where I have imported a file of records, order records into my system, and some of the records somehow or other have missing mandatory information. Alma knows that I, as Anna Allen, imported this file, takes out those records that need manual review, takes them out from the automated workflow that we are talking about, and puts them in the task list and tells me you need to take care of them. If Alma doesn't know or cannot allocate a task to a particular person, it will go into a pool of items that need to be reviewed that are unassigned. So I log in the morning, I see, oh, I need to review various items. I navigate from my task list directly to my order screen, my order lines in review, and here I can have a look at what needs to be reviewed. I still have here on the left-hand side the various areas of Alma. If I suddenly decide that I want to jump to analytics, I can do so. I don't have to go back to my main dashboard. So we can see here that we have an item that is in review that is a subscription for a print journal. We can see that we have another item that is a physical one-time, a physical book that is in review that is on order. And here we can see an electronic journal package, a subscription. So immediately we can see that we are getting an idea that there is some kind of a unified workflow here. Alma doesn't care, and I'm doing air quotes as I say that, whether the item is electronic or physical. Alma will know how to handle these different types of orders and just make the differences that are relevant. So in order to show you what I mean, I'm going to click edit on this physical item, and Alma immediately tells me you need a fund and it wasn't selected, so please select it. And you also don't have any vendor information in this order. And obviously, I must have a vendor if I need to add information, I need to send the order. We can see here that I have ordered one copy. I've already been able to define the information in my import file that it's going to be in the main library in the general location. I could have also indicated an item policy. Here we can see the vendor information that is missing. Actually, we also have a list price that is missing. I must have, unless it's a gift or an exchange where I don't need that information and I don't need the fund information, these are mandatory information. If I scroll down, I can see the purchase order line details, the acquisition method, the status of the invoice, etc., etc. Okay, and up here we have various tabs related to the full order record. If I go back and I now edit this particular record for an electronic journal package, we can see here that Alma is telling me that I didn't select a fund, and because it is a subscription, a mandatory field, I must put in a renewal date, and it's missing. So let's just minimize these so that they don't bother us. And let's scroll down. Here we can see we have vendor information filled in. We have a list price, but we don't have a fund. I've got my purchase order line details, no invoice, etc., etc. And here we can see I must fill in a renewal date. If I scroll up, I don't see the information about the physical items that I'm ordering and their location in the library. And of course, this makes sense because we're talking about an electronic item. And what we can see is that Alma recognizes this as an electronic item and puts in a field where I can fill in information about a license linked to this item. So I think we have a very visual idea now of what we mean when we talk about unified workflows. Certainly in the area of acquisitions, we can see it. Now, I'd like to also point out something quite interesting. I didn't point this out when we were on my dashboard, but when we were on my dashboard, as a default, Alma showed me that I could search all items and I could search by keyword or any particular element of my bibliographic record, for example. As soon as I move to another area of the system and Alma has an index option available to this area that I'm looking at, it will immediately change my indexing option to order lines. And this is a good opportunity for me to show you the very, very many different indexing options that we have. So we've got typical indexing options by title, by physical title, by items, maybe electronic items. But look and see that I can search my general search function by invoices or by vendors or by hold requests that have been placed by users. So we've got very, very rich functionality around our search index function. I'm going to actually choose now to search all titles, and I'm going to search for a particular author, Norma Loveset, because I want to show you another unified aspect that I think is interesting to look at, is that I can have one bibliographic record, but I can attach to it different format types. So we can see here that this little green button is telling me that I've got two physical items. I've got two physical locations, actually. I've got two copies in the main library and one copy in the music library that isn't available. If I click on my electronic link, we can see that this is part of an electronic collection, the Gutenberg project. And if I click on my digital link, I can see that I've got some kind of a digital link to this item. It could be a picture of an image of Jane Austen. It could be a PDF document. I can actually click on the viewer to go and look at it. So we have here an example not only of the unified workflow, but the option of being able to unify different types of resources under one bibliographic record. Now, when I looked at my search results, I didn't point out, but I'm now going to do so, is that we have two tabs here. I was looking at my institution. We can also see here that we have a little institution scope here, but I also have another tab which is what we call community, but is the Alma community zone. This is something that is embedded and is part of every Alma instance. You get your institution tab with your local catalog, and you also have a community tab with a community zone that is managed and maintained by Ex Libris. So let me tell you about the community zone. It includes a vast central knowledge base with hundreds of thousands of vendor offerings for electronic resources, and that, as I mentioned, is maintained and updated by Ex Libris. So let's have a look a little bit around this particular functionality. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to change my search query, and I'm going to search for an electronic collection, and immediately my options changes to electronic collection name. I don't want to search right now in the community zone. I want to search my institution, and I'm just going to search for the search term Gale. Okay, we can see the results displaying. We have 69 search results that match my search query. We can see here, for example, that we have an order for this particular package. There are 74 titles in the collection, and the collection, the data from the collection actually came from the community zone. And we can see here that even when I just click on the icon, I can actually click to view the record in the community zone. And I think it's very important to point out that there is bibliographic information related to the collection in the community zone. There is detailed bibliographic information for every title in every collection. So let's take a look now and see. We have 69 in our institution. Let's have a look and see what we have in the community zone. Now, I don't have to repeat my search and change my search from the institution to the community. All I need to do is just simply click on this community tab. Alma understands that I want to repeat my search, not in the institution, but in the community zone. Let's see our results. We now see that in the community zone, there are 150 results matching our search query. And here I can scroll down and I say, this is quite interesting. I never actually even knew that we have subscribed to this particular collection. I can see this because there's this little institution icon here. I can even just put my mouse over it and I can see that the collection is activated, the service is available, and if I want to look at the collection in the institution, I can do so, and I can just click on that. I think this is a very nice little example, but it's the little things that make a difference, where I don't have to go back to my institution zone, I don't have to search for it, I can just click on this and go directly to this particular collection. But let us say, for example, that I'm scrolling through because we have decided that we actually want to subscribe to another package. This package is the Gale Business Entrepreneurship. We can see here that there are 537 titles in this collection. Remember what I said. In the community zone, we have bibliographic records for all the titles in every collection. We have bibliographic descriptive records for every collection name. Now, I have to say, very often the titles, we have full bibliographic information. There are instances where we have brief bibliographic information, but we have an ongoing effort to ensure that every single title, there is full bibliographic information. So I want to order this particular collection. I would also like to ensure that all these 537 titles cross over from the community zone to my catalog when I place this order. So how am I going to do it? What is the workflow? All I need to do is to click on this order button, and it is going to take this information from the community zone and move it to my catalog where I can start an online order process. I create my order, I send it to the vendor, and then I get confirmation from the vendor that my order was received, and I can activate this collection. When I activate the collection, I'm actually starting on a wizard that Alma manages, where it takes me through the various steps that I need to go through in order to activate the collection. And once I have gone through the wizard, what Alma is going to do is it's going to automatically activate every single title in this list and index every single title. No patron that I know of is going to go and look for the name of this collection. What they're going to search for is the name of a title within a collection. Alma is indexing that information. That information is automatically ported to our discovery solution, whether it is Summon or Primo, and our users are able to find that information in that way. So I'm going to stop for a minute to ask Scott how we're doing and if there are any questions so far.
We don't have any questions at the moment, Barbara, so thank you very much.
Okay, so I'm going to take a sip of water. And I'm going to go on to something else. So if in the group of you who are watching my presentation and looking at this, if you are e-resource librarians, you're probably familiar with a very painful issue related to e-resource collections, usually related to collections of ebooks. Because what we have is a situation where our providers are constantly changing the content of the collections that we subscribe to. They're constantly taking items out, they're constantly adding items in. And it is a huge manual task having to manage, sometimes on a daily basis, to make sure that our holdings are up to date and reflect what the status of the collection is on that particular date. So what we have done is that we have reached an agreement with a number of providers, I'll give you the names in a minute, whereby we have an automated update holdings integration. So I'm going to go now to my configuration area. I'm clicking on General. I'm going to go to my integration profiles. And here we can see all the different profiles that I can integrate with. Excuse me. I'm going to filter by upload electronic holdings. So we can see here that we have an example of 2 vendors, but we are in constant communication with our vendors, and currently we have this tight integration with Elsevier, Ovid, ProQuest eBook Central, Springer, and Wiley. So I can go into this integration and show it to you. It's not really going to show you much information. I'm not running any kind of update in my demo environment, so it's not scheduled. But if it was, I could always come here and look at the job history and see the updates that were going on. So the situation is that automatically Alma is going to connect to the provider because I have this integration profile set up, and the provider is going to give, so to speak, Alma all the information regarding the updated holdings information for my library. Alma will then take this information and will automatically update my holding. So there's no longer any need to do any kind of manual review, manual update for all these particular providers. And I hope that we're going to be adding additional providers as we go along. Now, I'm talking a bit about openness. So I want to go back to my dashboard. I need to go back to this, and now here we are on my dashboard, because another area that I'd like to show you is that we have cloud apps, something that is really a good example of openness. It is an open framework which allows developers to write apps that run inside the Ex Libris higher education platform. So for example, Alma. Now, I recently gave a presentation and I was really quite curious as to how many cloud apps we have and how many are developed in-house by our Ex Libris developers and how many are developed by our community. Because it's not only an open platform that we can access it, it is an open platform that allows members of our community to create cloud apps that might be particularly relevant for them, but they're going to share it with the whole community. And it turns out that basically half are developed by the Ex Libris developers and half are developed by our community. So I'm going to click here on my Cloud App Center. I can see here, if I click all the available apps, I actually think it's a little interesting to show you because, for example, the Orbis Cascade Consortium created an app that is particularly suited to their label printer. But if there are other libraries that use the same label printer or a similar label printer, they are able to use this app, and it tells me it prints spine labels directly to your label printer. So I think this is a terrific app that can be very, very useful to many libraries. I'm going to go back to my activated apps, and I'm going to show you as an example that I want to do some kind of a quick update of my e-collections. So if I click on that, I can see the information related to it. But obviously, I need to actually search my e-collections in order to be able to work with this app. So let's just say as an example, I want to update some proxy information on some of the apps. All I need, oh, excuse me, before I do so, I'm just going to close that. So I'm here and look, we've got a little green button here and it says, I have one suggested app for you for this particular page. I can click on that and it shows me this is an app that we suggest is useful for this particular page. I can open it and it tells me you can select the e-collections that you wish to update. You can page through the records in Alma and your selection will be remembered. So for example, I just might want to update a particular one or two collections where I want to update something about the internal description or proxy information of everything of that nature. And I can do this in a very simple, automated way. Once again, going directly to these collections without having to go back and search for them and so on. So we're concentrating today in a big way, but not only on e-resource material. So I want to show you another workflow that I think can be tremendously useful for the library. So I have this scenario where the library is thinking about subscribing to a collection. And the collection is quite expensive for our library budget. And we've been having discussions. Should we subscribe? Shouldn't we? Is it a good way to spend the limited budget that we have? They're very good titles in this collection. We really need it for our users, and so on and so forth. And finally, after lots of discussions between staff members, we say, wait a minute, before we make a final decision, let's see how many titles we might have already in our library that is in this particular collection that we want to subscribe to. So I'm going to show you now a workflow where I can do an overlap analysis to see how many titles we have in this collection that we want to subscribe to. I click on this particular option and we can see various reports that were run, but I'm going to start a new analysis. I want to compare collections. And the first thing that I need to do is to choose the collection that I want to evaluate my overlap. I want to search the community zone, and I'm just going to grab this particular title, and I want to search for this particular title because this is the collection that we are thinking of subscribing to. So now Alma is searching the community zone for anything that matches my search query. It found one result. We can see 370 titles in this collection. I'm going to click select. Okay, so we've got the start. We can see here, this is my particular workflow now. At the moment, it's in a status of draft. I can then say what I want to compare it with. Do I want to compare it with selected collections in my institution zone or from the community zone? No, I want to search my entire catalog, my entire institution zone. I can choose my match method, and I'm going to search by title. I want to do a match on title. Now we've got fields, a field checked here regarding coverage and comparison and current year, so on. If this is a periodical collection that I am looking at, we'll just leave them checked. It doesn't really matter. All I need to do is to just click on the generate button in order for Alma to start the process of comparing my library catalog with this collection in the community zone. Now, it can take up to a minute or two. We can see it's now in process. I've been working on this. Sometimes it takes a minute, sometimes it takes 2 minutes. So we're going to have a little pause now and see if you have any questions.
No questions
Scott.
today. No questions
No
today.
questions today. Oh, look how quickly it's working. It's already 72%. We'll wait a few seconds. It's done. It's compared my whole library catalog with this particular collection. And let's just click on it to see what the results are. And it tells me that out of 370 records, 278 are unique titles. There's no overlap in my library, but I do have 92 titles that there is an overlap. And I'm really quite interested in this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on this down link button, and I'm going to get this Excel file and I'm going to open it. And here we can see all the titles, the 92 titles where there is a match. I'm going to just take this one because I'm interested actually to see where this title is in my catalog. Is it just a standalone title? Does it belong to a collection? So I'll come back here and I'm now going to search all titles for this particular one. And we can see that we actually have it, and it's part of an electronic collection, and we can see the title of the collection, eBook Central Academic UKI edition. But this is an extremely useful tool that can help us. And I think when we think of that slide where I said insights, it's not only analytics. Getting information like this is also an insight. Should we order the thing? If my results were the other way around, that we had 280 titles already in the library catalog and only 90 or whatever that number was not in the catalog, we certainly wouldn't think it worthwhile to subscribe to that particular collection. Now, the next thing that I'd like to show you, I'll just come back here to my dashboard. I don't have to, but I just will, is something else. And this is something that we call DARA recommendations. So I want to tell you about DARA. DARA is a data analysis recommendation assistant. It is a smart decision support engine driven by adaptive technology that brings machine learning into the library. So that sounds quite interesting. I'll just read another thing. I'm reading from a blurb about DARA, if you don't mind. So DARA recommends Alma workflow efficiencies, it suggests features, and it validates custom configurations. So let's have a look at it. DARA is here on the top. It's a little icon. So here we've got my little Cloud Apps icon. Here I've got my DARA icon. And all I need to do is to just click on it to see my recommendations. So it tells me at the top of my list of recommendations that I see that your institution uploaded 2 manual counter files with the platform Project Muse. But it tells me I can recommend sushi harvesting with Project Muse instead of doing manual file uploads. And it also tells me that other institutions successfully harvested usage data from this vendor. So I say, great. I want to do something about the sushi harvesting. What do I need to do? So DARA doesn't stop here. It tells me, do you want to create a sushi account? And if I say yes, it is going to take me through all the steps of how I need to create the account, the configuration that I need to do, everything that I need to do so that I no longer have to do this manual upload. Let me show you another example. We can see that we've got different categories. So let's have a look, for example, at cataloging. What on earth? I thought I was an expert cataloger. What on earth can DARA tell me about cataloging? We can see here something quite interesting once again. It says to me there are 8 titles in your catalog with the same OCLC control number. Excuse me. And first of all, it tells me, then it recommends, I can recommend removing the identical control number. How? It can be done by running what we call a normalization process on a set of titles. So once again, I'm very excited. Wow, terrific. But wait a minute, how do I create the set of titles so that I can remove these duplicate control numbers? Once again here, we have create set, where DARA will take me through the steps required in order to create the set and then manipulate the set so that I remove the duplicate control numbers. Maybe before I do so, I want to look at the bibliographic records, but all this DARA will help me with. Let's take one last example. We have something called a high request load. Let's have a look at that. So here we can see that there were multiple patron requests for the physical item feminist stylist. It also tells me that the time until an item became available was relatively long. Last year, we didn't order any further copies. There were 7 requests last year. There's only 1 item that we have in the catalog, and the average number of days to available was 19. So DARA says, I recommend reviewing the title to potentially reduce patron waiting time. You may want to modify the terms of use or move items to a short loan location or purchase additional copies or all of the above. And then I can see the title in search and I can decide what action I want to take. So I think this is tremendously useful because I know, and also today in Alma, we can get reports about high request load items, but we don't even need this report because DARA is going to give it to us automatically. I can just come here and see this. So this is once again a tremendous time saver for librarians to come here to DARA and to see these recommendations. So as we are getting close to the time where we want to switch to Q&A, the next thing I'd like to show you is something about Alma Analytics. I'm going to click on Design Analytics, and here we are on my Oracle Analytics dashboard. I want to go to the catalog, and here we can see shared folders. So the folder Alma is basically all the out-of-the-box reports that Ex Libris creates for the Alma community. I can go to any report and I can run it on my data. I can go to any report, modify it, save it in my own folder, obviously not in the Ex Libris folder, and keep it for further activation and running. So we can see here the Alma folder. We can see the Alma University. So remember, I'm Alma University. This is my particular folder. And we can also see a community folder where we offer our users the option of sharing reports with the Alma community. So I created a great report that I think would be very useful for other institutions, and I can just simply post it here in the community, and then I can run those reports or that particular report on my library data. Now, some of you might be thinking, this is great, but I really don't have time to learn analytics, to look at, see what the fields are and how to run a report or modify a report. And this, of course, is perfectly understandable. So what we have done is on this particular screen, we have posted a number of dashboards that we have created out of the box for you to use in different subject areas. So I'm going to take as an example, I haven't run anything, I haven't created a report, I haven't modified a report. I'm just going to come and have a look at this e-inventory dashboard, where I can see as an example, I can see the top 10 classifications of my e-inventory by Library of Congress or by Dewey. Or if I want to get a look at all my electronic collections in a very simple way, all I need to do is to come here. I can see the public name, and I can see various other parameters, the number of titles in the repository, etc. Or I want to see a breakdown by the different types of e-resources that I have. So here we can see a list sorted by greatest to smallest. Here I can see a pie chart. I can look at the various options, and I can see a breakdown here. And here we can see by date. I can select by date, newly activated portfolios or titles, newly activated collections. So once again, very useful information, giving us insights into our catalog, into what's happening in our library, but we are giving you this information with basically minimal requirement of input for you. We're helping you as much as possible to get access to all this information.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
There you go.
Scott, why don't you go on? I
Okay.
find I'm beginning to lose my voice, I think, or I'm coughing, so I'll give my voice a rest for a minute.
Sure. On this slide, you'll see a lot of links. I'm going to post those into the chat right now, where you can provide gain insight and further information about Alma. There's a link to our website. There's quite a bit of documentation that's in the Knowledge Center. We do also have some YouTube videos, whether they're demos. We also have recorded webinars that go into further details about what latest releases and whatnot on YouTube. And then, of course, if you want to be contacted, you can fill out a form that's on our website. We did get a few questions, Barbara, so let me get them queued
Okay,
up for you.
great.
First question is, does overlap analysis compare print and electronic?
It can absolutely, yes.
Okay.
And not only that, but I'm sorry, I'm just stopping there. It can compare print and electronic.
Okay. In your example, does it give you the list of 92 titles along with the collections where it is available, or do you have to check each title individually to see which collection it is included in?
Let's just have a look. Oh, sorry. I'm not looking. I forgot that I'm not there, but I do see. I've got the collection source set, and that's the one that I was searching, and then I have the target. I have the collection target set. So I know that you're not seeing my screen now, but I can see that there's some came from eBook Central, others came from Gale, ProQuest Safari, TechBooks Online, CCC Get It Now. So you have all that information in the Excel download.
Okay, we did receive a different question. It's similar to the first question that I asked, which is when you run the overlap analysis and you choose the entire institution, does it include print items?
It's searching the entire catalog.
Okay.
Yes, that includes print items.
Okay, another question came in about DARA, and is that included with a subscription to Alma, or is that an add-on service?
I am so glad that you asked this question, because I want to emphasize your subscription to Alma includes everything that I have shown you today and everything that is available and part of Alma. You don't need to pay to get access to cloud apps. You don't need to pay anything for DARA. The only thing you need for DARA is the relevant role and privilege in order to be able to see DARA and work with it. It is an integrated, integral part of Alma, as analytics is. It is included in the price. We don't have any type of add-on where you have to pay extra for something.
Okay, another question that's kind of related to your answer just now is that, so if I have an existing link resolver, such as SFX or 360 link, does that need to, does Alma replace that link resolver?
Yes, we have an inbuilt link resolver in Alma, so you don't need your 360 resolver or SFX link resolver any longer.
Okay, we don't have any other questions, so I'm going to go to the last slide, which includes your email address. So if you want to make some concluding remarks, that'd be great.
Well, I want to thank you. You know, I really, really wish that we could all be looking at each other and in the same room together, but I think this is coming. We're going to be traveling and we're going to be looking at you again after a time when we haven't been able to. But thank you so much for taking the time for joining the session. Feel free to contact me if you have any question. I hope it was informative, and if we can help you and give you any more information, feel free to contact us, also with the links that Scott has provided.